like that shirt. It's Weezer. That's cool.
Girl, there's this brand I love of oversized tee. Talk about oversized tees, the Hannah Berner tee that we talked about last week. I think it's called like Day Catcher or Daydreamer. I love them. They had a Weezer shirt on sale, and I was like, I actually listened to them as a kid. So yeah, done.
Not sponsored, but could be. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Girls Unscripted. My name is Kate.
My name is Carolyn.
Carolyn and I were talking off camera about how we're both wearing yellow big t-shirts today, and that's just the type of freaking day it is, okay?
And look, it reminds me of Kyle because it has a surfer on it.
My shirt is actually a Loverboy shirt, fun fact.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
You've got all the merch these days.
For their margarita brand. It's like my favorite shirt. I just like that it doesn't say Loverboy. I just think it's a cool shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, Gabbers, this past weekend, I did have my dad-themed birthday party, and I just need you all to know that Carolyn was unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable, but also almost too recognizable because of how in character I was. Like, you knew them. You knew Huxley was his name. And I feel like I left your party feeling just a little bit more like the man, as Taylor Swift would say.
Carolyn walked in, blonde wig. So basically the theme of the party was my birthday. We've talked about this before, but my birthday party, it was on the same day as my dad's actual birthday. So I was like, that's funny. Let's just do my birthday theme is like dress like a dad. And it was great. Everyone had on like Hawaiian shirts and sports stuff and beer logos. It was amazing. Carolyn and her husband Kyle walk in. They're both in tucked in collared shirts, like khaki shorts. You both are repping, I think, Virginia Tech.
No! Oh, God, Kate!
University of Virginia.
Thank you. They're our rivals.
That's what I meant to say. Kyle is wearing a Harvard dad hat. Carolyn has on this wig. Oh, it was just so funny. I think we're going to post a photo on Father's Day on our Instagram, but you really were. And Carolyn and Kyle were the life of the party because you guys brought this fucking game that was like the funniest thing I've ever played.
It's funny, but also like slightly terrifying and nerve-wracking. So basically it's called you laugh, you drink. And the rules are pretty simple. If you laugh, you drink. And you're given these cards with very oddly specific action items to do. And so the group like stands around you and just tries to remain straight face until someone laughs. So it's kind of horrifying in that aspect, but also fucking hilarious in other aspects.
You have to lean in. Like my one I got was like flop on the ground like a dead fish and like scream for help. And if you just like go hard, people will laugh. But what's the worst part about that game is when you go hard and people don't laugh, then it's just fucking awkward.
Horrible. Mine was gymnastics and to look at Kyle and say, look at me, daddy, and then like keep going. Like I got a few laughs, but it was so bad. Kate did it perfectly. Well, Kate's card said, writhe on the ground like a fish and say, I'm just a humble fish.
That's like, what it was.
Very weird, specific thing to say. And she asked Kyle, like, what does this word mean? And it was writhe.
Writhe? I have no idea what the fuck that means still to this day. Kyle didn't
proceeds
know.
To say, well, clearly my husband doesn't either, because Kyle proceeds to explain to you that it's like unpacking something. He gave you the wrong.
No, he confused it with wrong because he goes like this. He was like, it's kind of like this. And in my mind, I assumed it meant like flop around. But I was like, let me just double check. And then when Kyle told me what it, quote, meant, then I was even more sure that I was right and he was wrong.
I was like, Kyle, what word were you describing? And I was like, oh, God.
I hate this guy.
Nailed it.
But it was fun. You guys killed it. It was so funny.
It was so fun. Best theme. And I'm a sorority girly. I've been to a lot of them. Like, there are some top ones up there. This was hilarious. And I highly suggest this to be a summer phenomena for sure.
Everyone really leaned in and I loved that.
Yeah.
And then Carolyn, you went to a freaking movie premiere on Monday.
Oh my gosh, I did. Yes. So we were invited to a screening of this movie called Him. And for you reality girlies, I do recommend it. It was a big honor to get invited. It was at the Landmark in Westwood, which is a lot of like cool premieres used to happen. It was nostalgic for me because I worked in movies for a long time. And that used to be like my exciting days were premiere days because there's nothing like the energy there and everyone's there for the creativity and it's like the red carpet and all this stuff. It's so fun. I just love those are the days that I'm like, I'm so glad I live in Los Angeles. And this was no different. It is a very cute indie film. So it was written by Tess Higgins and Rebecca Walls and directed by Rebecca Walls. It's pretty much an all-female cast. I think there's one male character who did great as well, by the way. And it's about 5 reality TV show contestants. They're girls, like on The Bachelor. And it all takes place pretty much within one night of when they find the iPad of The Bachelor and read his texts and read what he actually thinks about everybody and what's actually going on behind the scenes.
Wow.
And it really exposes like how the reality world works behind the scenes. And I thought I knew a lot because, you know, you and I literally have a podcast on reality TV, but there are just so many little intricacies that are like interesting to learn watching this written. It was written by someone who's a big reality fan themselves. I think they also cover reality TV in some aspect. And it was at first a play and then they made it into a movie. But what's really interesting about it is that it was produced also by Nick Thompson, which if you remember him from season 2 of Love is Blind, he actually wound up marrying his partner and then they got a divorce. And I remember hearing rumblings back in the day of some stir-up with him and reality TV. And I didn't recall exactly what it was, but come to find out what came of all of it is he is now a big advocate for mental health for reality TV stars and for them to have the resources they need to have someone on their side and lobbying for their interests. Right. Because as this movie makes perfectly clear, and as we can all guess, once you're on a reality show and you're cast, the producers now have their interest and you're kind of a prop more or less for them to do their thing. And I know that's the extreme version of it. The movie was cute. You see 5 different storylines of 5 different experiences these girls had. I thought I was gonna think Nick Thompson was like kind of annoying. I don't know. I was just like, it sounded like, is he just using this? But he was very well spoken. And I talked to him afterwards and he was very passionate about this cause. And so he created this You Can Foundation that has resources for people that are cast on reality shows if they need therapy after therapy. That's apparently a thing because you get therapists on the show, but they're also hired by the producers, so they kind of like also are in on it. Therapy, if you need lawyers, they help with that. Spreading the awareness of the rights. So I know we talk about reality TV and, you know, we are part of almost the problem, but also the excitement about reality TV is that people talk about it, right? Like people talk about it. And if you get a bad edit or a bad showing on TV, you'll be talked about on podcasts like this and throughout social media for millions of people to just dog on you. And what he said that I found so interesting is that in the show, they kept saying to each of the contestants, they would say it individually. They would say, the producer would say, but this is your love story. This is your love story. Like, don't you understand? Like, this is how your love story can end. You can be picked at the end. You just got to open up more, or you just have to talk more about your family's history. Maybe he'll like you more. You know, they use it to say, this is your big moment. And apparently that was a real thing that was said to Nick on Love is Blind. And he didn't even really clock all that was going on until he was fighting with his partner and saying, but this is our love story. And he stopped and thought, well, is it? Wait a minute.
Wow.
Is it our love story? And it kind of was the first light bulb that went off of like, maybe this isn't how this is supposed to feel right now.
Right.
So I just spoke a lot, but I think it's an important topic.
That's extremely interesting. I do remember when he started speaking out about it, and I feel like it was a big deal for a second, and then people just kind of forgot about it.
Totally, exactly. I feel like it was a blip, and I forgot.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, the conditions on Love is Blind weren't that great, and basically kind of doing what Bethany Frankel was also doing or trying to do of like this reality reckoning of like, we deserve to have rights too. And so that makes me happy to hear that like he has this foundation. You met him and he was really great. And this movie kind of reminds me, did you ever watch Unreal?
Yes. And I loved it.
I loved that show. So I definitely can't wait to see this movie. You pitched it. You did a great job. They should be paying you, Carolyn, because you just pitched the shit out of that.
I told Nick that I've been kind of waiting for someone to make this movie for a long time because the only thing we've had is Unreal. And if you guys have not watched Unreal, you have to watch unreal.
It's so
oh my
good.
God. It was a scripted series about this very thing, about the behind the scenes of a reality show. And wasn't it on Lifetime or something? It was on something
I'm
random.
pretty sure it was on Lifetime, yeah, which is why I think a lot of people didn't really know about it.
It was so random, but it was a great show too. So all that to say is it's available on Apple TV and Amazon, and it was an indie film that they only got made because they won a grant, so they got free camera equipment and all that stuff. So support indie film. Go girls. Woo!
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you had such a good time, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Now it's so funny because we're like, yes, everyone deserves rights and people should not be acting this way on reality TV. Now let's go into the valley. Fuck Jax. Jax is a
Exactly.
piece of shit.
Let's talk about how fucking awful Jax still is, shall we?
So in this week's episode, we are recapping The Valley Season 2, Episode 9, titled When One Door Forecloses. Great title. You know, in the beginning, they always do little happy-go-lucky stuff. We see Jasmine and Zach rollerblading in Burbank. We see Brittany, Janet, Michelle, and Sheena getting their hair done. But while they're getting their hair done, it is revealed that Jax Taylor was selling their stuff on eBay. Brittany says that he sold one of her Jenny Craig bags. I found his eBay profile.
What's on it?
So I basically just went on Reddit. Obviously, someone
Right.
from Reddit found it.
Right.
The username that is on it right now. Again, this could not be him. I don't know how legit this is, but it's Felix Potvin 29. FELIXPOTVIN 29. And
Of course it is.
the reason that I do think this is Jax is because it's very man cavey stuff, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of Detroit sports gear, and that is where he is from.
Oh, interesting.
So-
and is there any like Jenny Craig stuff or anything pointing that?
No, but it did say there's been like 300 items sold, so maybe those went quick.
Okay, well, keep an eye, if you don't mind, about every few hours on Felix.
Oh, don't. Yeah,
Potvin.
Felix, you're fucking done for, Felix. I got my eye on you, boy. I may be blocked on IG, but I am not blocked on eBay. Let's go. But what I loved about this episode is we kind of just jump right into a big old scene where very early on in the episode, we're already at Kristen and Luke's housewarming party and drama's going down.
Are you talking about the scrotum talks, or are we going to get there?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I know you're
What
probably
are-
very excited to talk about it.
What drama are you referring to?
Well, Jesse reveals that he and Michelle haven't been talking. And I saw this on social media before the episode aired, that this girl Jenna comes to the party. And people are theorizing that Jenna is going to be some sort of cast member. I actually don't think that. But everyone online is like, why is she getting such an intro? Like, why is Zach being like, I've known Jenna for a while. I met her through Sheena, But it is revealed that there is overlap between, maybe possible overlap between when Michelle started dating Aaron and Jenna dating Aaron, because Jenna reveals that she dated Aaron twice, once in 2019 and once recently. Now, Jenna, this is not her first time on our screens. She has been on The Valley already. She's been on Vanderpump Rules. She actually hooked, I'm pretty sure it was her if I remember correctly. The party where it was like a rollerblading party for like Sandoval's birthday or someone's birthday, Sheena's birthday, I don't know. James Kennedy got super fucked up, and I'm pretty sure he and Jenna went home and slept together. Jenna is like their workout instructor. Jenna's just been around. So this is not our first time meeting her. But somehow Jenna revealing that she dated Aaron is confirming to Jesse that Michelle did cheat on him with Aaron, which I didn't really understand that logic, to be honest with you. And I'm also just like, who cares?
It was definitely boy math. It was like, because Jenna dated him around the same time that someone said Michelle had dated someone and then found that someone in bed with someone else, that means that I'm like, dude, like, if we're making that many like conclusions, who knows? It's not that important.
You are going out of your way to make Michelle look like a villain. Like, we don't care if she cheated on you with Aaron. What don't you understand? You were also a bad partner. Like, I'm sorry, and maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe this is a hot take. But if I found out that Michelle cheated on Jesse with Aaron, I would say, okay, It would not faze me.
Well, we already know she cheated on him, and that didn't faze us. So I think you're alone that, like, I mean, you're not alone, and that if you find out that it was Aaron, that we'll also be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. If anything, good for you that you're still with the guy. Like, I hope you have love forever.
Clearly it was a good choice. Yeah, the right decision.
So then we do talk a little bit about Scrotox. I definitely could have done without this. I don't really know why they kept this in. And apparently getting Botox in your scrotum makes your balls droop.
I want to hear your opinion on this, Kate, because I know this is something you love to go into detail about.
Well, wouldn't you think it would make them tighter? Because isn't that the point of Botox? Or I guess maybe it's relaxed the muscle. So Botox relaxes your muscles, which helps, get rid of the wrinkles. Maybe your scrotum muscles relax so much your balls get droopy. It just seems fucking weird. I think that Zach just did it because he found out you can do it and wanted to try. And I think that's funny.
I gotta admit that I think I need to see an anatomy map to really understand where the scrotum, what that means.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
And then what, therefore, the balls do. I mean, it just sounds like they drop and stay droopy. Do I have that right? Is that what you picked up on?
Wait, the scrotum...
Is it the skin of the balls?
Trigger warning, I'm going to read some things.
Okay.
The scrotum is a thick, multi-layered sac of skin that protects and surrounds the testicles. So the scrotum is just the skin around the testicle.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, where in the balls did they do that?
I thought it was like the taint.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Behind the balls.
And so, do you freeze the whole scrotum?
See?
That's a great see. That's what I needed. Now, I still have more questions and answers, but I now know which questions to ask.
Exactly. At least now we have an image of Zach's scrotum. Moving on.
You could not pay me to get my wahoo-hoo Botoxed, is all I'm saying.
Oh, I know.
Ouchie. Sorry, moving on. You'd already moved on. Let's move on.
There's kind of a lot that goes down at this party. It's like, it's still like painting a picture and like we don't really get to the bottom of anything. But one thing that I flagged is that Danny at one point says in a talking head, he likes Jason. He just doesn't like Janet. And I'm starting to see a pattern here of people being like, yeah, I love Jason, hate Janet. So I just found that to be interesting. That this is not new news. This is not breaking news, but it is interesting. So many people can love Jason and hate his wife.
Yeah. But we all know couples where, like, everyone kind of likes one person more. People probably like Kyle a lot more than me, Like, and that's
Could
fine.
also be vice versa.
Could also be everyone can hate Kyle.
People can hate Kyle. You never know.
You'll never know.
But I think people love you guys equally.
Thanks, love.
Then we set up some future things. Jasmine asks both Janet and Jason if they could all go out to dinner and have a chat. Luke reveals that he's planning a surprise proposal to Hawaii. And then this part blew my mind. I don't know why I'm still so shocked when I hear Jax Taylor shit, but for some reason my jaw still drops. Britney reveals that Jax made the receptionist lie and say that he was going to the hospital when he wasn't, which made her break down and cry. And Jax completely made up the whole hospital thing. It wasn't even real. He never went. Why am I surprised? I don't fucking know. But it's just when I thought that this man couldn't get any worse, he's making receptionists cry.
Do you want me to hear his side of the story from the after show? It honestly, it's nonsense.
I do actually want to hear it.
Okay, this is how Jax takes it. He says he's really good at lying. He's not that good, though. He's really good at manipulation. He's not that good at manipulating nurses. That would be kind of messed up, don't you think? But what really happened was my blood pressure was high. They said, you seem really upset. I said, I am. They were like, okay, do you need a doctor? And I said, I do. And they went to go get one. And by the time they came back, I had gone to sleep and they woke me up and said, do you still need to go to a doctor? And I said, no, I was good. So yeah, I think that was his way of getting a story that made it sound like, yeah, there was talk of me going to one, but I just never went to one. He's so good at lying. It's crazy.
With each episode we do of this, I just get more and more mean. But I'm just like, I'm sorry. I just can't. I just can't. He also told Britney that their house is in foreclosure. He sucks. I will say, though, your kindred spirit Janet does say exactly what you said last week. lawyer. Which,
Lawyer.
I mean, is this a light bulb moment? Probably not. But at least Britney did take that fucking advice.
And she's also married to a lawyer, so I think that also helps.
Oh, that's true. Because I kind of forgot. I keep forgetting that Jason's a fucking lawyer.
Speaking of my kindred spirit, in the after show, there is one more link between us. And I will say, she primarily, and I don't think you know this about me, takes baths. She's not a shower person, and I'm not either. I'm mainly a bath person.
You take more baths than showers?
More baths than showers, correct. It's disgusting, I know.
It's not disgusting. It's just shocking.
It's shocking. It's weird. And they joke about it because they're like, oh, did your mom just never transition you from like the bath to shower phase? And I'm like, yeah, I think that was it. I never really had a conversation that was like, yo, it's time for you to stand up while you do this, you know? So I just always stayed laying down.
Look, I love a bath, but it's a treat. I don't even have a bath in my house.
It is a treat. So Kyle and I, when we looked at places, if it didn't have a bath, we couldn't live there.
You know what? I get that. You like what you like.
Yeah, and so does Janet. So
You guys do. I hate to say it, but you are so similar.
we do a lot.
Then we have a scene at Lala's house, which again, if I remember correctly, this is the first time we see Lala's new house on reality TV. Don't really know why I keep shouting that out. I just think it's interesting.
Oh, that was her house?
Yeah, they were at Lala's.
That was a nice ass house.
It's really nice. And they kind of just talk about, they relate to each other on both having ex-husbands or exes, whatever. They give their daughters whatever they want. And Michelle says, you know, Jesse is making Isabella entitled. We do hear a lot more from Michelle throughout the episode of how bad she really feels Jesse is, but why is no one supporting her like they're supporting Britney, which we'll get into that. But Michelle also opens up about her mother and her mother's illness. And I'm going to fact check. I think her mom has since passed away.
What she was explaining made it seem like she didn't have long left.
Yeah, Michelle's mom has since passed away. She passed away in November of 2024, so only a few months after that scene. That's horrible.
Horrible. I mean, stage 4 colon cancer
Yeah.
is tough, and it already spread everywhere. I mean, it's just, that's devastating.
Yeah, she definitely was going through it this season, and I feel like we need to like give her some grace.
Yeah, I read. That's the new I saw TikTok. I read somewhere that someone was saying, like, we didn't need to know that. And I'm like, I feel like we kind of did because she
They're on
has a lot going on.
It's a whole part of her story.
And that's a huge, horrible thing someone's going through that's like part of her story. So why not? So I agree. I was glad they let us in on that. It makes a lot of things make sense too.
Yeah, totally. The next scene, they're at El Compadre, which is absolutely crazy because I was just talking about El Compadre this past weekend. El Compadre is the best. It's kind of like an LA staple. Have you been there, Carolyn?
Is it in the Valley?
There's one in West Hollywood. There's one in Echo Park. I guarantee you've been there. All their margaritas come on fire.
I probably have. I'm thinking of El Coyote. I've been to El Coyote a million times.
Also love that place. So El Compadre, their whole shtick, this is a story I was telling this weekend, is that if you order a margarita, it comes flaming, like on fire. So if you notice in the episode, Janet's margarita had a flame on it. The first time I ordered it, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know you just blew it out.
Yeah.
So it comes on top of like a lemon peel, and in the lemon peel is like a liquid. And I literally lifted the lemon peel while the flame was on it and then just like dumped it in the drink. And then like obviously the flame went out, but all my friends were like, why did you just do that? And I'm like, isn't that what I'm supposed to do? And they're like, there's definitely like lighter fluid in there. I was like, I just assumed it was like tequila. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I just remember people being like, why the fuck did you just lift that up while it was on fire? I'm like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. No one fucking, just like you weren't taught to take a shower, I wasn't taught how to drink a flaming margarita.
I'll never forget in college when we had a flaming Dr. Pepper party. Have you ever had a flaming Dr. Pepper?
No.
It was shots that we lit on fire. I can't remember how we did it, but I don't think we put lighter fluid in it. I think we literally just caught them on fire. And I was like, what do you do? And I think you do just blow it out. But I dropped I was scared of it. I dropped it and I lit my table on fire.
I was going to say, any college party that has to do with open flame does not sound
Horrible
like a good
decision.
idea.
Yeah.
Also, maybe my friends were fucking with me. Maybe it wasn't lighter fluid, but I do remember thinking, this margarita tastes a little weird now.
It should come with a guideline, at least. Something.
Somebody just tell me what to do. Anyways, love this place. El Compadre, big fan. They're again talking about this ring thing, but this is a conversation I like because everyone is just trying to say their piece, understand, and actually squash it. So Jasmine is again trying to get them to understand, like, I didn't start this rumor. And I think they just needed to have a sit down conversation to realize, like, Jasmine is trying to say, like, what you're mad at me for, I didn't really do. And Jason is very eloquently just explaining why this hurt his feelings. Jasmine apologizes for her behavior at the beach. Janet apologizes for what she did. And she even acknowledges that maybe sometimes she can be a bit of a Karen. It's a great conversation. They all hug it out and they're all friends again. I really liked this scene. Uh-oh.
Well, do you see my eye twitching?
No.
It is. Oh my God, it's awful. As Paige DeSorbo says, it's time to kill a man. Have you seen that clip? This is what I noticed about it, Catherine, and I need you to riddle me this. So the whole thing is like we're mad at Kristen because Kristen made up that Jasmine started this, but we have a flashback of the pool party where Jasmine was asked in front of Kristen, in front of Janet and Jason, and then you told Kristen, and Jasmine says yes.
I'm with you on that. I was a little confused.
But make it make sense.
When she said she didn't tell Kristen, but she did tell Kristen, because that's how I was writing for Jasmine these past couple of episodes, saying Jasmine did repeat this rumor, but she didn't do it on camera. Kristen did. I honestly am just excited that this storyline is going to be over soon. So maybe that's why I so quickly was like, great, they're friends and we're done with this now. But you're right. It isn't really adding up. But you know what? Don't tell Janet that, Carolyn.
No, what
okay?
what you just said makes it make more sense, though. It's not the fact that she said it, because she's admitted that she said it, she heard it, but it's the fact that it was on camera, because she didn't bring it up on camera.
And
Kristen
maybe
did.
there's like a fourth wall thing that we're not seeing where Janet and Jason thought that Jasmine told Kristen on camera.
Yeah.
When
yeah,
really she didn't. Kristen was just repeated on camera. Who knows? Again, another storyline I am so done with.
We are done with it, except I will say, I still think Jasmine disdains Janet more than she's letting on.
I could see that.
I still agree with Jason in that I don't think you get that angry unless you have deep-seated resentment that I don't entirely believe that you can shrug off with and I was angry in the moment.
It's a good
personally.
point. Well, and Janet is pure drama, and we see it at the end of the episode. All she does is start shit. So like, even if Janet is your friend, like you do kind of get to the point where you got to be like, enough is enough. And I do feel like when Jasmine showed up on the beach last episode, we talked about this, she was done with Janet before Janet even opened her mouth. Yeah. So I think there is some like deep-seated shit already boiling up with her.
But when you get to the point in life where your friends are getting married, like you gotta accept everybody. It's just part of the deal. If you're friends with them, you gotta bring in the husband. Like they're a package deal.
Exactly. After this scene, we do get a quick sorry, I'm gagging. Jax rehab video. Over it, someone online, and this is so fucking true, said in every single one of these videos, he's just repeating therapy buzzwords. Like he's literally taking exactly what the therapist says and then just repeats it on camera to make it seem like he's learning.
Yeah, it was white noise.
White, exactly.
He could have been saying, and it sounded the exact same.
Yeah. Then we have this scene at Brittany's house. I'm just calling it Brittany's house now, where she invites over her girlies plus Zach to help her pack all of Jax's stuff. And she orders every fast food under the sun. If I walked into that house and saw that, I would be so happy. Like,
no, she ordered the Holy Trinity.
She really did. She fucking did that. She knows who she's ordering for. Everyone but Michelle.
No, I think if I had to pick 3 brands for like a devastation day, I think it would be what she did. McDonald's, Taco Bell, Domino's.
Exactly. The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
They are preparing for Jax to get out of rehab. Brittany is probably so scared, right? It's like, sure, I do think she does kind of feed into it a little bit. I think she does kind of, in the past, she's kind of liked the drama, but I could sense, like, this scene was kind of the whole thing was kind of a hard watch. You can tell she's scared, but you can also tell she's confused. So, they're like cleaning out Jax's closet and all his clothes, and like she keeps picking up stuff and being like, oh, his jean jacket. And then she completely breaks down and starts crying. And I do understand that. I mean, you are mourning the loss of the person that you thought you were going to be with forever. And the only thing I could think about in this scene is it really is so impressive that she did not get back together with him. Because this is the first part that we're seeing, like, she does love him, right? It's like the rest of the season, it's like, fuck Jax, he's this, he's that. I can't believe he's doing this to me. But now it's like the walls have kind of broken down and we see it's like, she really doesn't want this, but it had to be done. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I think she's also gotten to the point of it's been so many times that she knows the pattern that he will suck her back in. And she says this, that he'll suck her back in, get his claws back into her life, and she'll go back with him. And I think once it's happened for now, 7 months, it's on and off, and every time has been disastrous. I think she's smart enough to know it feels good right now when he says nice things to me, but I know what happens after, it's the transitive property.
Yeah, I actually have a similar experience. Like, I understand why she's like trying to do all this before he gets out. When me and my ex broke up, I found out about his cheating ways while he was at home in Pennsylvania and I was in LA. So he was coming back and we had a 2-bedroom and I moved everything into that second bedroom until he like got out of the house. And I remember all my friends being like, why did you move his shit for him? Like, he should have moved his shit. And I'm like, because if I didn't do it, he wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have done it and it would have been a whole thing. Like, I just needed to get that out of my space so that I don't even have to deal with him when he gets back. And I feel like that's like exactly what Brittany is doing in this situation. And it was also like a really good girl power moment, this scene. They're all banding together, they're drinking wine, they're packing his shit. The one thing, and I feel torn on this. Michelle, this is where she conveys that she wishes that she was getting the same support that Brittany is getting. I feel like Michelle's situation is a little different.
I do too. And the fact that she keeps saying, if not worse, is an interesting choice to me because I would ask, what about it is worse?
Right.
At least Jesse wants to get along for the sake of Isabella. Like, in the terms of the child, he's still being a good dad from what we can see and wants to be a good father in that regard. I know he still makes things difficult, but it's clear that he has love for Isabella and like wants to be an active part of her life. Jax has fucked things up so badly that like he clearly has prioritized destructive behavior over any relationship with his son.
Jax can't even be alone with his son.
Yeah.
And you use some similar words that I'm using where it's like, as far as we know,
right,
Jesse isn't as bad as Jax. We don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. I do think Jesse is doing everything in his power to destroy Michelle. Yeah. But the difference, from what we can tell as viewers, the difference between Jesse and Jax is Jesse is not a danger to Michelle or his child, whereas Jax is a danger. And Jax is literally put away in a facility right now, So there are some differences. I'm not going to minimize that what Michelle's going through is fucking bullshit. I'm sure her and Jesse have humongous issues. I'm sure Jesse's a piece of shit to her. But to compare Jesse Lally to Jax Taylor, I don't know that those two things go hand in hand.
Yeah. And again, like, I think what she's going through is horrendous. And again, as far as we can see, really, really bad. It's like comparing, I don't know, something bad to something really, really, really bad. Like, it's not great. We're not saying that his behavior is acceptable by any means. But Jax was starting to get physical. And as far as we know, Jesse hadn't really crossed that boundary yet. Maybe we just don't know about it. And yeah, he's not locked away in a facility being monitored by health staff 24/7.
Exactly. And I don't think that Jesse is a pathological liar the way that Jax is. It's two different situations. For her to say mine is maybe even worse, I don't know. I think maybe, to give Michelle the benefit of the doubt, she also could be saying it in the sense of like, not only am I going through this divorce, my mom is also dying.
Yeah.
And this is really hard for me and no one is supporting me. I'm going through two horrible things right now. So benefit of the doubt, maybe that's what she meant by if not worse.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because that also would wreck me. And if Britney's mom was also dying, it would be a different category of destruction. So
Totally.
I can see that.
In one of the most inspirational scenes I've ever seen on television in my entire life, Britney goes and sees a divorce lawyer. I never thought I'd see this day. Give it up for Britney Cartwright, everybody. Gabbers, please put your hands together right now. Give her an applause. Not only did she go and see this divorce lawyer just to ask questions, I do genuinely believe she did not go there with the intention of filing. And what I took away from this is that it took her talking to someone on the outside, right? She's been talking to her friends for months about all these rage texts and the way that Jax treats her. And all her friends are like, oh, fuck him, da-da-da, whatever. But I feel like it almost took someone who doesn't even know Jax to look at her phone and says, let me see what she said. Oh, and the lawyer literally says, that's a lot of text messages. He's obsessed. And even says to Britney, is he stalking you? And I think Britney needed to hear that from someone that she talked to for 45 minutes for even her to be like, you need to divorce this guy.
Mm-hmm. And she talks in the after show about it. She wasn't even planning on filing that day. She was planning on talking to a lot of different lawyers. That was the first lawyer she talked to, but she just loved her so much. And I think honestly she would have liked a lot of lawyers, because I think a lot of lawyers would have the same reaction at all the evidence she's bringing. And I loved when the lawyer said he has a problem. I think there's two meanings in that. He has a problem in terms of how he's treating you, and he's gonna have a problem now with what we're going to do going forward, because he has to speak for his actions. Yep,
totally. It's so fucked up that I thought this, but I was like, dude, if I ever get divorced, I'm going to that lady. I liked her.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she was cool. I did think at the time, because I remember when the news broke that Britney filed for divorce, was the same day that Jax got released from the mental health facility. And I remember thinking that the timing was really weird, and that maybe it did have something to do for the storyline of the show. But now seeing how it all plays out, it makes sense. I don't think any of this was done for the show.
If he can somehow make her life worse by being locked away somewhere, then we're done. It's time.
If I remember correctly, and we'll see next week, I heard he got served the papers at Jax's Studio City. I could be wrong.
I think I remember that as well.
So yeah, we'll see if that's what happens next episode. Then we finally get to the scene. We saw this all play out on social media in real time, but Brits Bar, they turned Jax's Studio City into Brits Bar. I do think this is a great idea. And I will say I was one of the people when they first did this in real time that did think, is that the greatest look? Jax
yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, he's literally, we did talk about it on this pod. He's literally in a mental health facility and you're going to do that. But knowing what we know now, watching this all play out, even Zach says it it's not poor Jax. We're doing this for Britney. And I love that they did this. You can tell Britney really has the best support system of friends. And I don't think any of it's fake. I think they all really love Britney.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that's amazing.
They wouldn't be spending a whole day at her house putting things in trash bags, and they wouldn't be getting signs to put up on bars. And they've been with her they've been friends for a long time, and she's been with Jax a long ass time. So they've seen her ups and downs and all the things, and I'm just really glad. There's a saying in Hollywood of good content rises, in terms of there's so many people out there, the good ones rise. When you find your people, and it's great. It's a great feeling. This is friendship.
100%. I almost cried. I know that sounds so dramatic, but when she walked in and they surprised her and everyone was just oh, it was just a really nice scene, because I don't know. I think people are torn about Britney. I think I like Britney, and I think I've always liked Britney, and yeah, she did cover up for Jax a lot, and I don't understand why she even married that man. But all that aside, I think she's really scared. I think she's dealing with a lot. And it did just make me happy that she got to experience this one last night of, quote, freedom before he's out. So
I would still, however, I did think of Michelle Obama's voice in my head of when they go low, we go high. There was still a speck of me that was I Don't know if I'd feel entirely comfortable going to this extreme, but I'm still glad it happened. Like, I'm glad it happened. I'm also glad I didn't have to make the choice of like what to do there. I mean, that sounds horrible. I would support Britney, but I'm still not completely 100% like it was the right thing to do. I don't think if there's a right thing or a wrong thing.
I actually totally see where you're coming from. My first thought also was like, if my fucking ex was about to get out of rehab, the last place I'd want to go in general is his bar. And this could have been a front. This could have been a farce. Who's to say? But Jax and Britney really held a united front when they opened this bar that it was both of their bars. Even though Jax's name was on it, Britney had her things that she did to this bar too. So I do agree in a sense of like, it is a lot. It is when they go low, we go high type of situation where they didn't really take the high road. They covered up his name. They covered up his face. It was very fuck Jax. But then, to almost feel validating too in it though, it is like, they keep mentioning how pissed off Jax is going to be.
Yeah.
Even Jesse talks about how he's picking Jax up from rehab tomorrow. And of course, the night before, his name of his bar is covered up. And I see like Jesse's POV because he's Jax's friend. But if every single person is so nervous about how Jax is going to respond and they're afraid about how he's going to react, doesn't this further validate that this man is a loose fucking cannon and that like we shouldn't be so like babying him as much?
Yes, yeah, we shouldn't be on tiptoes as much. Yes, but it also validates that he's such a loose fucking cannon. I don't want to make Britney's life any harder than it already is by putting even more targets on her of like, and then you got everyone I love and care about to vandalize my bar, like she's gonna get heat. So yes, I still love that it happened, but I see how I can see how there's a gray area there's a gray area.
What they should have done is rented out like some sort of event space and just turn that into Brits Bar. Here's your bar for the night with your name on it.
That's what I was thinking, because I was like, then you have a different space that like still gets the same message across, that you have your own bar. She talks on the after show, by the way, about the Rocco's stuff, which is like
about how she's not doing her own bar anymore.
Yeah, and how she was going to have her bar. She was going to paint it pink. You would have had a pink building next to you. And she found out that it wasn't happening by seeing it listed on Zillow. Can you imagine?
My God.
Zach saw it listed and was like, Britt, like, you need to reach out and see what's going on. And they're like, yeah, the fires just took him down.
Damn, poor girl. It's so funny. That's why I love when we have these types of conversations, and I love hearing the devil's advocate, because if you go back to like 5 minutes ago, I'm like, this was an amazing idea, fuck Jax, and now I'm like, actually you're right, maybe this was kind of, I see both sides now, and
there are both sides.
Yeah, I like that I do now. Michelle brings up again during this scene the fact that she's going through the same thing as Britney, if not worse, and that Jesse is there and no one cares. I do feel like the Michelle and Jesse storyline is being overshadowed a little bit by all that is happening with Jax. And if it is as bad as Michelle says, I would like to learn more, but I don't know that we're going to have time to do that because of all the stuff that's happening with Jax. I do think it's kind of weird, and I thought this even before Michelle opened her mouth, that Jesse was even there. Yeah, like, are Jesse and Britney friends? I don't think so. Like,
yeah, and he didn't know that was going to be there.
Britney and Michelle are like best friends. It's like, there is a point in time, like that was an event where it was Britney's thing. They didn't have to invite Jesse. They could have just had Michelle there.
And in the after show, they talk about it too with Jax, by the way. And they say you can tell in like the group photo, there are some people that opted out to be of the group photo. Jax saw someone's leg in the group photo, thought it was Tom Schwartz's pants, and then just went crazy ballistic on him. Yes. And Schwartz was just like, yeah, Jax, man, you freaked out at me. He blocked him. He screamed at him, all this stuff. And Schwartz was like, I was out of town, but I also wouldn't have gone because, like, I'm closer to you than Britt, so whatever.
And yet Jax is still allowed on our screens. Hilarious. Then we get into some fucking dark side Danny Darko, where they all think that Danny is kind of hiding his drinking because they know that Nia doesn't like it. And I did clock that too. I mean, it was obviously on the screen, but where he goes out of his way to tell Nia, I received a shot, but I only took a sip. I saved it for you. This is for you. I didn't take the whole thing. And she's just like, okay, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I did think that was interesting how he was like, it was almost like, see how good I am? I didn't even take the shot. But he's obviously drunk, and that's okay. But is it okay? Because then he did insert himself into that conversation that he had no business being in. He was being pretty mean, and he was kind of slurring his words a little bit.
You could tell he seemed lights out to me when he was talking. And they say he's just such a lightweight. They talked about in the after show too. Like, he just gets drunk really easily. And the fact that he did go to Nia shows that they clearly have had conversations where they're going to keep each other in the know about their imbibing each evening. You know, like, there clearly was a reason he did that. And I think they've had to get through some hurdles, which totally makes sense. They're a married couple. It's been an issue for multiple reasons in the past. Like, that's something that they're working through. But it was interesting when Nia found out that Janet called him Danny Darko, that Nia said, no, we're done, and walked out.
Yeah, well, and you know what? I do get that, knowing Nia now. So just to backtrack, Janet and Kristen, I think it was, start discussing this whole ring thing. And while they're having this conversation, Danny is just chiming in, and he's being very confrontational towards Janet. And honestly, to me, it was like he's starting like a random fucking fight. Even the guys are saying like, Danny, just drop it. Like, everyone is kind of like, Danny, just stop. But I did feel like Janet and Jason were kind of poking the bear a little bit by calling him Danny Darko. So yeah, like you said, Carolyn, she calls him Danny Darko, and then Nia's like, okay, we're out. Nia just does not. Here's the thing about Nia. As a human being, have your fucking boundaries, girl. If there's a fight starting and you don't want to be confrontational, get the fuck out of there. Nia did her typical Uber Irish goodbye, but from a reality TV standpoint, like, I need some confrontation from you. I need you to stay. I need you to be like, don't fucking call my husband that. But maybe on the flip side, it's like, maybe she agrees with them. So
speaking the fuck of, what is this deal with their leaving posts? Are they real or no?
They're fake. There's so many of these fake leaving posts going around. There was also one for Carl from Summer House.
Right. What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's annoying. It's so annoying. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, basically there was a post that said Danny and Nia were leaving the Valley.
From Danny and Nia's accounts, right?
No, it was just shared on like other like Bravo accounts.
Oh God, that's so easy to start a rumor like that.
I know. Much like Luke and Danny in this scene, I'm also frustrated with Janet because she just can't fucking help herself. Like, she just is always calling people out. And like we were talking about this in the beginning of the episode, but like, just stop. Just stop fighting. She is always fighting with people. And that's why people don't like you. Like, she just always has something to say. And it did bug me that she should have just been like, you know what, Danny, I'm not talking to you. But instead it had to be like, oh, here's dark side Danny. At least my husband doesn't grab asses. It's like, just, you're not wrong, but just table it for right now.
Two things. I thought it was insightful that Kristen was like, yo, we just had a conversation about this. And you said everything was fine. And they flashed back to that conversation. They said everything was fine. It's shit like that it's like, oh, now that I know that scene existed, I am like, Janet, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just have a whole lunch with Kristen to tell her that everything's patched up, then do the rant at Sheena's, and then do everything else is crazy. Second thing, Jason did give me daddy vibes again this episode, even if I don't agree with it. I just got tingly when he said, basically when Jason was confronting Danny Darko saying like, watch it, dude, this isn't going to go down how you want it to. I was like, oh, he just has a way with put downs that are still like well articulated sometimes. Yeah. That I'm like, yeah, Jason. Jason is good at confrontation because as far as we know, he doesn't really like raise his voice, but he could like when he gets mad, he gets mad. He says, oh, it's sassy.
Do you think, I have this question for you, Carolyn, just to pick your brain a little bit. Do you think Janet was always like this? Or do you think that this is just her reality TV persona? In the sense that, like, she is drama.
I think I would imagine she has always been drama. Even her origination in the group includes drama. So I think she's one of those people that just has it follow her where she goes, would be my guess. Because if it's even in question how she got into this group, and the second that we've seen her on TV, it's been like fight after fight after fight over this and bringing this up and saying this when she didn't have to and all this. I think it's an and as well. I do think she knows how to be on reality TV and to secure her spot, as she calls Kristen, like the manipulator mastermind. Like, I think she kind of is herself too, in a way. Like, I think she knows what they want to see out of her for things, for her to get airtime and for her to secure her spot for the next season. So I think it's both. I think she have probably always had a sense of air of drama around her. Someone told that to me once, and I just had lunch with her recently, and it was like 7 years ago, and she was like, Carolyn, it was about me and my love life. And she was like, Carolyn, there are just some people that just love the drama. And that's okay if you love it. That's okay if you love it. And it like stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, do I love it?
Yeah.
Like, do I love this? To this day, I think about that.
We all love a little bit of drama.
We all love a little bit of drama. We're all a little bit of a Karen, but I think it got on steroids once she was given the platform of reality television.
Right. And she actually even did say on Vile Files, you know, she did spend years watching her friends do it on Vanderpump Rules. She's watched Sheena, Ariana, Katie. So, you know, people online call her Fan It because she's like a fan. And I do think it is a mix of, she probably, you know, does like drama mixed with, she watches reality TV. She's been on the outskirts. She's been at these Vanderpump Rules parties where she's seeing all it go down on firsthand, but she's kind of in the background and she knows what works and what doesn't. She could be a genius. Who's to say?
Which brings me up to my next point, that you got to apply to be on Vanderpump Villa, Kate. I know you applied to be a guest, but
I will not go on that show. I will not fucking go on that show. I am not.
You know what it takes.
Here's the thing about Vanderpump Villa. I'm not single, and they want single people to just hook up all the time.
Well, but you even know how to make that work.
But I also don't know if I want to spend a summer like waitressing. like that's what it would be, like a summer waitressing.
No. I would apply to be like, pick some cool random, be like the flower girl.
Or like, yeah, or like the events coordinator or whatever.
Yes, just be the girl that hangs out with bitches. Like, that is a thing. You'd be so
true.
good at it. And even if you have a boyfriend, like, you know how to like angle it so that you're the dynamic one with a boyfriend. So everyone comes to you for advice. I don't know. Gabbers, are you with me?
Casting directors, if you're listening,
comment down below.
Vote for me for Vanderpump Villa. Also, when I watched this past season, they always would complain how hot they were in that castle, and I was like, that looks miserable.
Well, they might be in London this time, so
that's you know what, that's true. They might be in London actually. I was kind of trying to figure out where they would be next. They did Paris, they did Italy. Maybe they would do London, Carolyn.
They were talking about an interview like London or Greece.
Huh.
Either would be great.
I really did apply to be a guest though, and I have already spoke to the casting director. Not like a formal interview or anything, but I DM'd her and was just like, just so you know, I applied, and she was like, okay, great, we'll take a look. But I would like to go as a guest for sure.
What was your pitch of like event?
My pitch was that I didn't have an event. But my pitch was, I think this would be a great idea. You know, they do a lot of like brand trips now. Bachelor in Paradise sent a bunch of content creators to their thing in Costa Rica. Survivor sent a bunch of content creators to Fiji. I think it would be interesting to send a bunch of content creators to like a quote brand trip at the Vanderpump Villa. But this creates extra pressure for all the people that work there, because not only are they like on reality TV cameras, now they've got us and all of our collective hundreds of thousands of followers that they have to impress. Like, they have to create Instagram and TikTok worthy stuff for us to do, and we will just be filming the whole thing. And it will also be a way to kind of promote the show, because all of us content creators will be posting like our time there. I don't know. There's something there, and there are certain content creators that I'm like friends with now that I think are just like down to party and have fun. And I just think if the Mormon wives could be there, we could be there.
So I lost track after I just understood. Okay, so I have a month to become a viral content creator is what you're saying.
Exactly. Get yourselves some followers and get on my trip.
I can get an invite on this trip.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't make the rules. We have to, maybe they will take anyone. Who's to say?
Everyone and a non-influencer that's just like there to
could be friends.
Everybody.
I mean, fucking Pauly and Cara went with a bunch of people I'd never seen before.
You have a very dynamic group of friends, I will say.
Yeah, but none of them are content creators. I really pitched the content creator thing,
and that's a great pitch.
But I only did that hoping that they would be like, "Oh my god, this is a great idea, free promo for the show." But no, I'd obviously rather go with like friends. Yeah,
I know, but oh man, that's a good pitch. Well, I hope it happens regardless.
We'll see. see. Or I'll just like fake a birthday. Okay.
I could like maybe, have a baby, pretend to have a baby. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Baby moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's what they did for the Mormon wives, I guess.
it.
So that's already
Yeah.
been done. We'll think of something.
We'll
You
think
could get divorced. Divorce party.
Oh my God, Kyle and I can get a fake divorce.
Divorce party.
And
And
then
then
you
and
remarry.
then here's the tea. Here's the tea. Kyle shows up to win you back.
And I am so torn about it.
But at
Do you
the
guys
end,
like it, or do you want it to happen, or no?
But at the end, you do decide to get back with him because you're not really gonna break up, I think there's something there.
There's something. I mark my words. I'm going to DM that pitch to the show
Do it.
and say I will fake break up with my
That would be
husband.
crazy. We'd have to scrub this podcast episode from the internet, though.
That's true. We'd have to. Yeah, exactly. So, Gabbers, if this does happen and you can't find this episode, you know exactly what's going down.
Yeah.
I will fake break up with my husband and come to wherever we are, and we will have the love story of a lifetime.
And there you have it.
Anyways, we got distracted. Where were we?
I think we were saying goodbye.
I think we were saying that. That's about it.
Carolyn, I know you're at home in Nashville this week, so I hope you have a great time with your family. And I know you're at home with your nieces, so go hang out with them.
I'm going to go chat with some little girls. That sounds weird when I say it like that, so I'm just going to go hang out with my nieces.
Just no one take it out of context, please.
Yeah, please, for the love of God.
And as always, thank you guys so much for being fans of this podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.